You're listening to the AID Network.
Hey friends, before we get started with today's poster countdown, check out the brand new episode of Lessons in Getting Shit Done, Episode 3, How to Create and Use Textures in Adobe Illustrator. This is Billy's new tutorial video project that's bound to fail and go away like everything else he touches turns to shit. So watch it while you can before it disappears forever and he loses interest in it. In this episode, Billy teaches you how to make your own vector art not look like vector art. If you've ever wondered how he makes his work look all crunchy and textury in Illustrator, well, Billy's going to show you how to do it yourself. This is the number one question designers have asked him for years, and finally, he's giving up all of his secrets. Episode 3 of Lessons in Getting Shit Done. Find them over on YouTube by searching Billy Baumann or watch them at twitch.tv/BillyDelicious. Enjoy. The boy knows what he's doing. Follow along. Make that vector art look crunchy and made from the heart. Listen up, my freelance friends. Our friends over at jackprints.com have a great deal on flyers and postcards. If you're a freelancer, it's so important to stay moving along with the work. If you get involved in the printing, it's an opportunity for you to further your relationship with your client, but also to make more money. And it's easy to do that with deep discounts from jackprints.com. Imagine creating custom coupons, create cool comment cards, or even help promote an event for your client. And it's easy to dream big and design big with Jack Prints when you can do circles and rectangles, but also custom shapes. And customization doesn't stop there. Imagine being able to pick the paper weight that you want or the finish. You like matte, you like gloss, Jack Prints has got you covered. If you're looking to kick off your New Year's freelance with a bang, get a flyer, postcard, or promotional project started with your client and take it over to jackprints.com. Remember jackprints.com/circle of trust, where you'll save off of industry low pricing, no shipping, no hidden fees. Hurry up and save up to 15% off flyers and postcards.
Coming to you live from the Saul Rosenberg Studios, broadcasting worldwide into all ships at sea, here comes another action-packed episode of Adventures in Design.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Poster Countdown. It's been too long since we've done a Poster Countdown, but it's also been doubly too long since we've had Rob Jones in the studio. Let's look back at the top 18 posters from 2018. Billy Baumann, how are you, sir?
Hello, turd lickers.
Jesus Christ.
Just right out of the gate.
Yep.
Right out of the gate.
The guy who likes PPO.
Just like my turds.
Right out of the gate. And Mitch, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We've got big announcements about OMG and the future of the website. But before we get to that, Rob Jones, it's been a long time, sir. How are you?
Oh, doing great.
Always good to see you. Always enjoy your perspective on the world. It's a unique one.
God his ass.
So, Mitch.
A lot of sadness.
Mitch, you have decided, we talked about this earlier in the year, that the world of blogging has just changed so much because of social media. And you were sort of debating, is there different ways do I go? Do I use a platform like Squarespace that makes it easier, or do I just go all social media? And you've decided to take OMG and just move it over to Facebook for the duration of its future.
Yeah, so right now it's kind of just been sitting because I want to get some new branding done before I take it fully over to Facebook. But once I get that done, here's kind of what sealed the deal. Is I started to realize that because of the death of blogging, without even putting any time into Facebook or building that audience whatsoever, just sort of what had built up in the meantime was getting about the same number of engagements on a post as the blog was. So
does not surprise me.
Nice.
So if that's the case, why even use the blogging platform at that point? Because it's 100 times easier to use Facebook. It's clearly which way the world's, I mean, all of our favorite forums are dead. So it just seems like the only real downside would be if you got less engagement there, but it's already getting more. So it seems like worth doing.
Can you?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Instagram?
Espresso beans is vibrant as ever. Red, yellow, black.
I don't want to do Instagram because it takes so long. And again, I sort of feel like on Instagram, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of Instagram being the artist's turf to promote their own shit on, and build their own audience instead of people following me to just see me post about the same artist that they're already following. Whereas Facebook, on the other hand, is all about engagement numbers, and that so it sometimes gets seen by different people than the artist page would.
It's interesting because on the Instagram platform you'd have the ability to become one of those like resource accounts, right? You follow this guy and you see this rad skull, this rad patch, and you go, oh, who's this artist? You click over to the account and you realize it's just somebody who posts rad skulls or rad patches or pins or whatever. So on one hand, you might have an ability to actually monetize that platform, but I definitely respect your call that that's probably where the artist is the strongest. So instead of competing against you, and one might even say that when you get past 100,000 followers, which I believe that you would, you'd be helping out smaller artists by giving them a social media bump. But that's Facebook, that really, I was surprised that was the platform that you went with.
It's just the fastest. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed from the couple posts I've done, but literally my new method is just say, this new poster is for sale by Jay Ryan. Copy the link, add the image, 10-second post.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like formatting and putting, hosting images and all that kind of stuff. Facebook just seems the fastest. Instagram, same thing. Like you're going to have to format the images. And
right.
I know that seems like an unbelievably small thing, but when you're doing it, multiple times a day and you have 2 other jobs and 3 kids, it adds up.
No, I agree with you. When we were auto pushing episodes over to YouTube, my assistant at the time was like, we need to make this template, we need to make this cover, and it'll make it look so much better. And I said, let me just break this down to you. If that's an extra hour a day times 200 episodes a year, that's 200 hours. That's a whole month's worth of work to make this one little thing look a little bit better. So for you, if it took you an hour a day, 5 days a week to update the artwork and get it ready for the platform, that's a whole month of your life.
Yeah, look, it's taken everything in me to not just quit. So I'm trying to do what I can here.
Well, I had each of the guys look over the prints that they saw in 2018 and give me 6 that they thought were real standouts. Put them all together, 3 times 6. Holy shit, it's the top 18 of 2018. One of Billy's picks for this year came from somebody who I believe is going to be the only artist that pops up twice on the countdown. And Billy put out that he enjoyed Daniel Danger's It Stopped Being About the Panic Purple Edition. This is something that I saw at Designer Con. Fantastic print. Daniel did it in various different colorways. My question for all of you guys, we've been seeing Daniel Danger carve out the same style now for well over 10 years. Why do we think it doesn't get boring, and why do we think it just keeps getting better?
Well, I can tell you with this particular print why I specifically like it a lot is because normally Daniel Danger is his own worst enemy because he'll spend a month on a drawing and then just bury it in dark color.
Yeah.
And you can't even see his line work at all. This one, he's actually letting the line work breathe with a light color as the contrasting color. And it looks so much more detailed and so much better. Now, you might get less mood with this, but as far as like actually showing off what you can do, to me, him going with a lighter color in the background makes a gigantic difference.
Yeah, with the basically the tritone, where he's usually a duotone, that the pink that he's using in the background really adds a whole new flavor and mood to a Daniel Danger print. Where if it's inside of a room and it's all purples or magentas, it's sort of just a little more depressing, maybe you could say.
This print's definitely friendlier.
Yeah, so there's like a hopefulness to this. I like to imagine that's Daniel and his wife at the top there or something.
Yeah, it's the hopefulness that made this not make my list. I got this color selection really makes it feel more like a happier Daniel Danger, which I can't say I'm that enthused by. I admit the artwork looks more beautiful than before because I can see it, because it's not bombarded in such darkness as his prior works have been. But you're right, there is a hopeful kind of end of the movie sunset kind of feeling to it, which not my cup of tea.
It is interesting that with the sun rising or setting behind it, and the artwork being backlit, it does totally change it, because a lot of times the light is like, coming in from a crack in a window and just sort of like almost like a dusty light where you can see the rays kind of finding everything. So it is definitely different seeing it in this direction, but fantastic print. If you're looking at it online, you have no idea of scale and what this thing looks like. And there was a green colorway that I would say would be even less popular with Rob, because that one felt even more hopeful than the purple.
Oh my God, I'm seeing it right now. Yeah, you're right. That is.
These are still available,
hopeful.
by the way. They're not cheap.
Too hopeful.
Too hopeful, too hot to handle, too hopeful to hold. All right. Rob also had a Daniel Danger in for his. He had a Daniel Danger print that's by the name Who Rescues the Ambulance. And this one feels a little bit more classic, Daniel Danger. And I thought it was kind of interesting that this flying ambulance that we have, it almost feels cartoony or animated for the world of Daniel Danger, which normally can feel pretty real.
Well, that's true. Everything's so still in a lot of Daniel's work, but I think that's what attracted me to it. That's what made it seem so new for Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's just people kind of standing or floating around derelict, buildings. And here there's something that immediately invites me to figure it out. Like I remember the first time I saw this, I kept trying to figure out exactly what happened. And I believe his intention was for that to be a mystery. Are these like weird lines going across and outside into the gutter? At first I thought maybe they were strung across and they were like someone was just out to derail cars or something. Then the ambulance itself gets destroyed, and that's such a horrible thing to think about that you don't ever bother to think about.
Yeah,
what happens at the ambulance?
Yeah, the cavalry comes to save you, and it becomes the victim of whatever's happening up there on the highway. Yeah, that's a horrible thought.
And this one actually is pretty bright too, Rob.
It is.
Rob, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's the blues that makes me. It's the nighttime setting. It makes me feel.
Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a story recently that Daniel Danger has for years and years and years made his prints too dark, and everyone's been saying it to him, and then he finally figured out that his monitor was miscalibrated?
I'm going to neither confirm or deny that.
Okay. Anyway, so maybe we're going to
be Mueller about that.
Maybe we're going to see lighter prints going forward.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's true that I can see so much incredible detail that it invites me in further. So I am glad he has made that change of lightening shit up.
Also, a smart observation that I wasn't even thinking about, that this is a lot more action or storytelling that we see from Daniel. Like you said, a lot of times it's either just a decay or a silhouette off in the distance, but this one has a lot of explosion and action, but yet also that sort of calm that we've come to know. Daniel Danger in 2018, Mitch, do you have an idea of what kind of work? Is he only doing art prints? Is he still messing around with movie posters, gig posters? Like, where's a career like that maturing toward?
Mark, can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
This is you're looking at the art print version, but this is also a 9 Inch Nails poster version.
Yeah,
for Boston. Actually, this was originally for Boston. He actually worked in the title work really well. If I had a choice, I'd rather go with the art print.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think he's still doing a pretty good mix. He does, in an ideal world, I think that he usually wants to do a couple of art prints, a couple of movie posters, and a couple of gig posters every year, which to me is sort of the best way to do this thing, because the minute that you try to go all art prints, you lose those built-in audiences that you pick up by doing movie posters and concert posters. And so sort of the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to do the movie poster once in a while, the gig poster once in a while if you want to, and then you sort of funnel those people into your own work as well.
Yeah, and you also, forgive me if I got this wrong, Mitch, but wouldn't you say also if you keep it mixed up, you don't burn out your welcome in any one of those different categories, right? Like, because if you go all art prints to pay your bills, you got to start making a lot more art prints.
Sure. And if you tie yourself only to doing fish posters or something, those people just eventually want posters by somebody else after a while. So, unless you're Rob, apparently. But yeah, I think that the best way is to spread it around a little bit, and then you sort of keep it fresh with everyone.
Moving over to Mitch's list, we have a print that we talked about earlier on the year from everybody's favorite, Ken Taylor. This Queens of the Stone Age print that he did of the, I guess it's like an Asian what's that girl?
Geisha girl?
Like
Geisha
a
girl.
geisha.
Geisha
Yeah.
girl with a parasol, octopus, skulls, ground, smoke. Like, what a fantastic gig poster. Because theoretically, I shouldn't like this thing. I hate tall, skinny. This would.
I do too.
If you showed me color swatches, I'd be like, I'm gonna make a poster with these colors. I'd be like, really? You sure about that? Like, I wouldn't be a fan normally of this type of typography, but you just put all of these things together and you put Ken's touch on it, and this has got to be one of the most standout gig posters of all of 2018.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the way I felt about it. The reason I put it on the list is every once in a while we need to be reminded like how good of illustration is going into a gig poster once in a while.
Yeah.
We've probably talked about this a million times, but this is a poster for one night, for one show, with probably 200 or 300 copies printed. And this is pretty high level art for that purpose. And so I do think the people that are doing concert posters at the highest level should sort of be recognized for still doing them, because it's not the greatest money. And it's still a really awesome art form when done correctly.
Well said.
All right. Strong opinion, Billy. Very strong opinion. Very controversial opinion.
No, I agree. It's a fantastic print. I think I wasn't being sarcastic. I really think Mitch summed it up very well, and I said, well said.
Let me ask you guys this format, the snowboard shape that I'm not a big fan of.
I hate it.
I like it a lot.
Do you really like it a lot, Rob?
I really do. Mitch and I argue constantly about wanting to do 12 by 36s.
Is this on the table for a Mondo print, or do you guys try to talk people out of this?
We've done them. We've certainly done ones too where it'll be two different ones on the same 24 by 36 sheet and then cut down the middle. I probably wouldn't hate them if I wasn't in the business that I'm in, but they're
Right.
just so awful to store, to ship, to just everything about them is terrible, because it's like all the trouble of a 24 by 36 poster without the grand scale of one.
So let me ask you guys this. We just looked at 3 posters, 2 from Daniel Danger, 1 from Ken Taylor. Out of the 3 of you, who do you think won the round?
Daniel Danger, with my choice.
So in essence, Rob's saying, I was right, you two idiots were wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with my choice as well on that one.
Well, if you want to be wrong, that's a welcome thing for you to do.
It's really a better battle just between those two, because this one's a little apples and oranges once it's a gig poster. But I don't know which ones. I'll break the tie of the better Daniel Danger image. I actually like the hopeful one because it's a different approach for him, and we want to see more different approaches from him.
And that's
Love
more
it.
your center too, more your outlook.
I disagree, but
Oh yeah, you're so dour.
Hey, friend, if you're listening to today's poster countdown, there's probably a pretty good chance that you've sent out posters to customers and clients before. I'm here to introduce you to one of my sponsors. It's SynPro Online by Pitney Bowes. SynPro Online is online software that helps you save time and money no matter what you're sending. Letters, packages, overnights, flats, and yes, posters rolled up in those sweet tubes. So imagine this. Instead of getting in your car, driving down to the post office, lugging in all of your posters, taking several trips, after you've found the perfect parking space, waiting in line, having them tell you that it's all done wrong because they hate the poster tubes, and then getting all frustrated, going home, doing it all over again, you can now just simply, in your office, at your own personal computer, load up the program, load up the software, weigh your own tubes, and this is the best part. You can figure out what's the best way to get them there, whether you're looking to get something to a customer very fast or you're looking to find the best rate. You can immediately see the different prices on that parcel through USPS, UPS, and FedEx. Therefore, everything that goes out the door is always going out the door the most efficient and affordable way possible. So why not make that shipping charge that you pass over to your clients and customers profitable for you? This is the best way to figure out how to make a couple extra bucks each and every tube you send out the door. SynPro Online is only $14.99 a month, and listeners of Adventures in Design can get a free 30-day trial when you visit pb.com/design. You'll get a free 10-pound scale that'll help you ship at no additional cost, and you'll begin to experience the convenience of SynPro Online. Try it out for free at pb.com/design. That's pb.com/design. And remember, try it free for 30 days and see if it doesn't make your life easier and more profitable. moving over to Billy's list, we have what I believe is going to be our first disqualification of the countdown.
Oh, shit.
It is First Aid Kit gig poster North America tour by his roommate and sex partner, Ann Benjamin.
First of all, we haven't had sex in years. Second of all, let me tell you why I put this on my list.
Go ahead. Explain it to the judges.
Hold on.
Because this is my list, right? Number one. This was a really important poster for Anne last year because it was kind of her first poster back in the game.
Got it.
And so since then, she's done 4 more First Aid Kit posters.
So which one are we talking about here then, I guess?
The one where they're wearing black clothes and the hair makes a heart. The first one she did. I don't think it's not her best First Aid Kit poster, but it was very significant to us and her because it was sort of her first real poster back, and it's led to 4 more this half of the year. So it was important.
It's hard for me to say anything, but you definitely picked the worst.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like all of them but that one.
Yeah, you picked the worst First Aid Kit poster. Her work for First Aid Kit's great.
It's been a great match between the two of them, wouldn't you say, over the years, Mitch?
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you're a band like First Aid Kit, hiring Anne to be your sort of look is a great move. It's a perfect match. She matches the music well. Her work does. And they should just start Rob Jones in this thing, and she could do one for every show.
Smart move.
Would not be a bad thing. But Billy, your story of why this is good sounds like because it created some income over at the Baumann household.
Yeah, it did. But more importantly than income, income is it is important to us right now. But more importantly than that, I think it kind of got Ann out of a funk, and because she was missing. She wants to work. She's a talented artist and illustrator, and she didn't really have the time for it in her life. And so last year, she was finally able to make a little bit of time, and that really, for lack of a better term, feeds your soul. So that was important.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Billy, because I was out for a while with just doing tour posters myself for about 4 years, and just trying to get back in. It's just you feel like the old guy going to college or something. It's just terrible. I'm glad. And I can't say I can definitely say for one, I'm happy that Anne is getting back into it. We've been trying to get her to do model work for a long time, and finally got to get back in.
I really like the bottom half of this poster. This is maybe a personal thing, but this is a thing I have with really sort of stylized, for lack of a better word, cartoony artists. I don't always like straight on depictions of humans, and that's why I've tried to push Tom Whalen away from that a little bit as well, is because if you look at a Tom Whalen poster that has humans on it, most likely every other part of the poster looks cooler than the humans.
Well, Anne is sort of directed by First Aid Kit.
Sure.
If you look at all of her posters, it's always the 2 girls.
Yeah.
She did it like for her first poster for them, and they like that, and so now it's something they request every time.
Well, I really like the ones that are more in the environment, but them as the focus of it, I just think she's way better at other things that they should take advantage of.
But with a couple of pro moves in this print, the illustrations inside of their hair, that is really, really fantastic. And sort of how she used the denim, or what I'm assuming would be like a denim pant, like to sort of create more than just a simplification. Like Anne's really got this bare minimum, just enough lines to tell the story look completely down. I love the First Aid Kit type. Is that their logo, or is that something
that's their logo?
Okay.
Wait, I was looking at the wrong poster this whole time.
Okay.
I was looking at the ones of their 2 faces combined into one face.
No, that was the first one she ever did. That was
okay. So everything I said was
what you're talking about.
Everything I said was about that. This one of them in the black outfits is great.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's something about her artwork where whatever she dabbles in, she just always nails it. When she started putting the brush strokes and things, she really made it look like it was from that time period. And now that she does sometimes this like stiff silhouette-y, I don't know, like contemporary gallery look that you see some folks do in, like LA and San Francisco, she hits that right out of the park too. Like she just seems like one of those people that whatever she whatever she sits down to do, she can just absolutely knock it down and knock it out of the park. And I'm sure the same when she sits down to shit as well.
Yeah, and please disregard everything I said, because these depictions of these humans here are really good. But the other one being...
The poses are amazing, I think.
Yes. No, this is a really good poster.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. All right, let's move over to Rob Jones's second pick on our top 18 of 2018. It's this was a print that came up in the countdown. We talked about this. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Rainbow by Robert Samelian. Is that right? Samelian?
We think it's Samelin.
Samelin? Done by the folks over at Mondo. So cool that you guys could know the guys over at Mondo. And this Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster opened up a lot of interesting conversations, but taking something that is historically known in one category and then creating this and using this color and this sort of type that doesn't say spooky or scary or thriller. Like, this is such a fish out of water from what it is, and it makes me just absolutely love it. I love this poster so much.
The most interesting thing to me about it is it should technically feel and look, just from the idea of it, that it's making fun of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's making fun of Leatherface, but it really feels like it's authentically celebrating. It really makes me happy to see it. It seems like completely true to Leatherface. And again, I'm sure this has been mentioned quite a bit, but it's amazing he did all this with him in action and yet managed not to show the chainsaw at all.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
And again, what another thing that really ties Mondo posters together, great title treatment, rare being able to use the credit block, but we were able to use it here. It's a really good movie poster, in my opinion, too.
And interesting placement, too. You don't normally see in a movie poster, having to go across that solid area.
Yeah, a lot of interesting decision making on this. Is there a slight gradient on the background? Like, is it a little bit darker on the bottom than it is at the top?
Not in real life, I don't think.
Okay,
I think it's on cream paper.
That's a JPEG gimmick. No, the thing is it has the proper level of like creepiness and chilliness, but it doesn't feel like a thriller poster. But like Rob said, it also doesn't feel like it's making fun of it or turning it into like a disco version of it, which you could easily go in that category. So I don't know, like a lot of interesting decision making here, and just nailed all of the decisions. This is taking a chance and really coming out a winner on the other side.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that's sort of a theme in my list this year, is the movie posters I do pick are the ones that I feel like were something really different that we haven't seen before, because we go through 250 posters a year, and so there's lots of really good ones, right? But the most exciting ones are ones that you haven't seen something like it before.
The most exciting ones are the ones that are usually prefaced by the artist with I almost didn't want to send this over to y'all to look at, but I think there might be something here. Like, yeah, of course. Jeez.
Well, going right along perfectly with that theme, next from Mitch, we have The Death of Stalin by one of our favorites on the countdown, Leslie Herman. This was on the countdown earlier in the year. Just what a fantastic print. And knowing Leslie and knowing his style and what he's capable of, this is really an artist taking the best parts of him and applying it to a project and leaving the other things that he could do sort of behind.
I agree. When I pitched Leslie for doing a poster for us, I was way more nervous than, I never thought it would have come in this good. I always thought it would have taken way more finessing of, but you're right, he picked the perfect parts of his style that work on a larger stage. And Rob Jones still has a landline, and left everything else behind. And honestly, outside of this poster, even, which we've discussed on the show, and how it's really hard to do a comedy poster and how it looks authentic for any era. Like, you could totally believe this is from the 70s. Outside of that, though, Leslie has been one of our greatest finds. I mean, I already knew him, but in 2018, because it's really, really difficult to find people that either want to do comedy posters or are good at them.
Yeah.
And he just fits right in this perfect spot where he's got it figured out. He usually has a good enough idea to make a great poster out of a movie that's usually a disaster when we do them.
He uses his... Hold on, everybody. That's the president of show business calling Rob Jones right now. You know what? Why he nails it, Mitch, is because he instead of trying to make the posters funny, they have a whimsicalness to them, but it's from the direction of like a really great cover for the New Yorker, right? So it kind of, it's editorial humor versus trying to draw a joke, which trying to draw a joke, very, very few people can pull that off.
Sure. I'm curious to see, like, now that he's having to do more narrative work and think more about, like, you know, how to sum a big idea up in one image and things like that. I'm sort of curious to see if some of this carries over into his concert poster work. Because a lot of his concert poster work is not super narrative. It's like, hey, here's a messy inside of a store. It's kind of landlandish, right? So I am curious to see if some of that carries over into his other work.
Yeah, here's a bowling alley snack bar that I painstakingly drew every single fucking detail into it. Like every little detail. And that's when you have that wild style, the more narration, the more you can put in there, and then it just starts to like carry over. And then it's not about the wild style, it's about the volume of work that's in front of you. But yeah, I remember when this came up on the countdown earlier this year. One, I was excited to see you guys working with Leslie because I think that he's a super talent. But two, just seeing somebody like, you know, elevate their game, take their best parts, put it all out there. It was fantastic. Still waiting for Billy to make that move.
So are we.
Man, I tell you what, I've been struggling. I'm trying to find something in myself. I felt like I needed to clarify that.
You know by now. I mean, surely you know by now that you're your own worst enemy. You do know that, right?
Yes, but also, sure.
The pitches.
If I could just make better artwork, it would be fine.
No.
You make great artwork.
You make fine artwork.
That's how it's applied.
The pitches that you pitch you're your own worst enemy. The pitches, the things that you approach me with, even if you made the greatest poster forever, would never sell. And you continue to do that.
Mitch, do you think that Billy, somehow, with all of his personality quirks and Catholic guilt, do you think that he undermines his own success? Like, if it's like, hey, we want you to do Darth Vader, that he'd write you back in a day and be like, how about I just do the severed hand?
This is my life with him.
He wouldn't pitch the severed hand. He would pitch like a freaking, I don't know, the bartender at the freaking cantina.
I think we talked about this.
Hey, that's a good idea.
He would pitch Battlestar Galactica. He wouldn't pitch Star Wars. Star Wars would be too popular for him.
That's exactly. Let me run you down an actual conversation.
Please.
Okay?
Oh God.
This actually happened. He texts me and he's like, hey, you got any ideas for me to do a Mondo poster? And he's like, I've been working on these ideas of making a paper craft, like, you know, like a foldable toy out of posters.
No, that's not okay. Okay, this.
And so
go ahead.
So he of course immediately cast that idea off, and I kept doubling down on that idea and been like, let's make a poster where it's sort of a Chris Ware-ish thing where the thing can actually be cut out of the poster and made into something, and let's make it for a Leica movie, let's make it for Coraline, or let's make it for Paranorman or one of these cool dark animated movies.
Yeah.
And he went so far away from that it ended with him pitching the poster for what Billy Gamma Ray or whatever the fuck.
Ray Bill. Well, I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it.
The last thing he did, he texted me 2 weeks ago to ask if he could do Hell Comes to Frogtown starring Roddy Piper.
Dude, you're just like Bill Murray saying no to fucking Ghostbusters 3, but yes to Garfield 2.
And then the best part was I was like, oh man, I wish we could do that. And then he was like, well, get the license. And I was like, you should totally get the license. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, well, why would you expect us to then?
Listen,
he's his own worst enemy.
People want to see a Hell Comes to Frogtown poster, by the way. Okay.
You should totally make one. I agree. But anyway, the point is he has a pretty open door with us. He could totally be making a successful poster, but he's his own worst enemy.
Billy, that movie that you want to do, I'm pretty sure you could license that for gas money.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, that's what I told him. Make it.
But if Mondo's logo isn't on it, then it won't sell.
See,
our logo isn't on half our posters, man.
No, see,
I don't mean by
Mondo don't make Hell Comes to Frogtown half the time, dude. That's the secret of Mondo. Everyone's like, if this is on Mondo doesn't make the same shitty decisions y'all make. Other Joel. That's where our shit sells out.
But also, here's the other problem. 2019 Mondo would probably have trouble selling the Hell Comes the Frogtown poster.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movie posters between now and 2011.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, I think Dark Dragon just deleted the email that they were starting to write. They're like, oh, those ones. All right, let me just delete this. All right.
Dark Dragon.
Moving up Billy's countdown. This is a controversial one. Okay, Whatever by John Vogel. Now, Billy, I love John Vogel. I think he's a great guy and a great artist, but I want to know why this stood out to you as one of the top 6 prints. And no disrespect, I just want to know like what you grabbed onto this one.
That's fine. This was more of a. This was a little bit of a trick on this one, because it wasn't really this print. It was his whole gallery show that he did. I feel like I think quietly John Vogel this year or last year, 2018. He's kind of really gotten good at the sort of, not to slight him in any way, but at the sort of Ken Taylor-esque kind of thing, right? And then he did this gallery show where he abandoned that and he did all of these organic textures and brushwork with some really cool, no outlines to his stuff, which he had kind of been known for, I think. In his style, and he really developed this new style that I am just absolutely in love with and thrilled with. And I even bought a print. I even bought a print of his that was, well, Mitch, it was 12 by 36, and it was really easy to frame. Mitch, don't be worried.
Yeah,
don't worry, Mitch. It was easy to frame. You go to Amazon and you say 12 by 36 frame, and they put it.
I actually have that print too. It's really cool. First of all, I totally agree with you on this John Vogel show. I think that the only thing that drives me fucking crazy about it is like that print that you chose. And listen, I know all the reasons that this is the case, but the fact that it's not a screen print drives me crazy because it's the easiest screen print.
This isn't
ever.
a screen print?
No,
it's clay.
What?
So that drives me crazy. But I agree with you. One of the hardest things to do, I think John's he's about my age, so he's probably like 35 or so.
Yeah, mid-30s.
Doing a complete 180 at that point in your life and switching to a complete different style and doing it well rarely happens. Very rarely. We've seen it, but it's pretty fucking rare. And so for him to go from this, cartoony style that it's good, but it's the thing about his old style is he's doing a style that like, I probably shouldn't say too much.
A lot of other people could do a lot better.
Yes. He's really good at it, but there are people that are better than that. This is such a unique style that he should really double down on this. And it's got kind of do you guys know Ken Garduno?
No.
He's an LA artist, and it kind of reminds me of his work too. And it's a really cool look. I'd be interested to see. So here becomes the question, right? Can he do this with anything other than just drawing singular women?
I was just getting ready to ask you, is this commercially viable?
Right. And so that becomes the question. If you can figure out a way to do these sort of loose, I don't know, lots of adjectives here, prints without having it just be pictures of women, I think you're onto something there. But that becomes the next step that's hard. There is one of a bird that's pretty cool, actually. So, yeah, I think he should definitely explore this. It's kind of a weird, like, it's like John Vogel and Leslie Herman had a baby.
Yeah, and to that degree, if you could find a way to do a couple of characters in a landscape where, like, maybe the car is figurative or the horizon is, and then, the characters like this weird, like, inconsistent line art, like, it could go somewhere, but the portrait thing, I feel like that's a hard sell, and especially like for guys like you all, the portrait's the hardest thing for you guys to pass through the machine, right? Because then you got to get permissions and
Sure.
actors and actresses to sign off on stuff. So, like, Rob, could you art direct this into something and make it into a commercial product, or is this a gallery idea?
It'd need to have more emotion.
I tell you this, it just depends on the property because I can reverse engineer this.
Okay.
And if you had full rights to make a Pretty in Pink poster with likeness and credit block, and he could just do a portrait of Molly Ringwald in this loose ass style because the era works as well, yeah, I think it would sell, right? But rarely do you have all those things line up on the perfect property, so that's why you have to be a little bit more versatile.
But see, that's the challenge. We could say, hey, do Molly Ringwald. You don't have likeness rights. Figure it out with this style. Maybe Magritte it and draws something else in front of her face to hide the likeness. Maybe it's her hair in front of her face. Maybe he turns her around and has her looking at something that's represented in the movie. Thing is, more thought, more substance, and less style. I think.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't see any reason why this texture and line work can't be applied to something that's not a portrait.
Oh, can you guys both do me a favor? Can you both jump on his shop real quick?
Yeah, on my way.
I'm there.
And by the way, he also made the smart decision recently that he is now just John Vogel and not the Bungaloo anymore.
Very smart. Very smart.
Hey, since I know he listens to this show, I want to send a message out to somebody, okay?
Well, I don't know that he does, but go ahead.
He hasn't listened in years.
No, not him. Oh. I'm talking about somebody else. I want to send a message out to someone, and they might not like it, but it needs to be said. I want you guys to all agree with me here. If you were a very young artist, a 21-year-old artist, and I know you've done posters already, right? But you're this early in your career, and you have the choice to switch to your name from the Suburban Avenger. Can we all give the advice right now that you should switch to your name?
Switch
to your name.
What's the name?
Your name is just
The Suburban Avenger.
Hey, guess what his name is? Luke Martin.
Oh,
That's
Luke
a great
Martin's
name.
a fucking great name,
That's a great
dude.
name. That's a great name.
Yes, great name. Switch it. I'm telling you, take it from Animal Rummy over here. Switch
And
it.
delicious.
Yeah, and delicious. And hero.
Oh, God.
At least you got Design League. At least you got some sort of league in there. Animal Rummy. Spell it for people because they don't know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, on John Vogel's store, you can see in the second row that he's done a bird and a buffalo. They're both really good.
Yeah.
Actually. They'd be good gig posters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does transfer well over to...
But here's what's funny.
If that bird one said My Morning Jacket and a date, it would do well.
Yeah. But that Primus poster in his older style, quote unquote,
It's really good, actually.
really fucking good. So
Yeah.
it's like he kind of gotten really good with that style and really refined it. And then he's switching it up, and I'm excited to see what he's doing.
I would love to know everybody's opinion here. Is it bad to do both of these, or should he figure out one and stick to it? Isn't that one of the hardest decisions?
It hasn't hurt Mike Mitchell, so I would say develop as many styles as you can. Develop what's good.
That's a great
Use
point.
what weapon. It's like Bruce Lee. Use what training you have at every moment. Whatever is best for the situation.
That's the pro of it. The con is it requires a discussion with every client,
Yeah.
right? About which one do you want? Do you want the scribbly one or do you want the line work one? And I've seen people up against this, and it can be difficult.
I always tell a client, pick 4 posters of mine that you like and pick 3 that you don't. And if they pick 4 of squiggly or if they pick 4 of lady portrait, then you know which way you need to go.
We do the same.
I never did the don't take 3 that you don't like. I just said, here, take 4 that you like.
Agreed.
And then
I
when
do more information for the don't likes, actually. Try that out next time. It's actually very interesting.
it's actually a great idea, because what I would end up normally having to do when they start trying to like really bully me, I'd show one of our least popular posters and go, just so you know, this is when the band got involved. And you didn't ask me for this Mo poster. Just throwing it out there. And I try to guide them back towards giving us freedom to make what we made in the past for freedom. All right. Congratulations, John Vogel, on trying new things. Man, looking at his website, what a year he had. And that Primus poster is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's great.
Billy's right. He's at an interesting crossroads, right? Because he's like finally fully figured out his other style.
Yeah.
And then is starting to explore this one.
Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying listening to the top 18 posters of 2018. Coming up in part 2 today, we'll have the conclusion. We'll have the top 9. These aren't exactly ranked in a numerical order, but I think that Billy as a designer, Rob as a fantastic creative director, and Mitch as a guy, well, what does Mitch do? Let's think about it. Mitch is the curator. He's the friend of the artist. He's the bridge between the artist and the customer. I think these 3 different perspectives and all the side conversations that are years and years in illustration, art, and printmaking unlocks a fantastic episode where you can hang out with your buds while you work, but also learn different things that make art successful, different techniques that different people have been using to break out, and career strategy, right? There's so many different ways to get to where you want to go. Hopefully today's episode gets you going there a little bit faster. To hear the second part of today's episode, I'd ask you to go over to AID.network and sign up. Not only are you going to get an extra hour and hearing us look at 9 more prints, but you know that you've supported the free content as well. Adventures in Design comes to you 200 times a year, every Monday through Friday, And that's very reliant on members of the Circle of Trust. So if you enjoy this and you want it to stay around for a long time, just become a member, become a proud sponsor. And when you do, your comments get read on every episode. Starting this year, when you comment on a certain type of show, that next episode, you will always hear comments from people that commented on episode prior. And those comments only come from members of the Circle of Trust, because if you're part of the team, you're part of the family, you're a part of the content, because you're paying for it and you're supporting it. Sign up today at AID.network. Let's get back to the poster countdown with Rob Jones, Mitch Putnam, and Lil Billy Delicious. Moving over on our countdown, we have a print that we also talked about earlier in the year, a fantastic one that comes to us from The Vacuum by the way of J-Wow Rouse Sebastian. J-Wow. This print, seen it in real life, it's unbelievable. Like the sadness, the way that it's lit up, the character design, like the story that it's telling, the things that don't actually make sense right out of the gate. But this is one of those prints, the more you look at it, the more you're going to find.
Yeah, I actually first heard about it, not from Vacuum, but actually from listening to your show. I heard Mitch talking about it on a countdown.
Hey now.
And I immediately emailed him. I was like, hey, do you have one of these left? And he's like, no, they're gone, man. Sorry. I was like, ah. So the fact that I actually tried to acquire one, which is rare for me and posters, because I tried to limit that intake as low as possible, maybe put it on the list. That also I have a real soft spot for St. Sebastian ever since high school.
I'm sure I have one for him. So I actually hear other painters bring this piece up a lot. And I think the reason is one of the people from sort of our world, the world of illustration.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good at painting, right? Like you have the Ken Taylors, the Jason Edmistons, the Daniel Dangers, people like that. Sometimes what they struggle the most with, though, since they're so used to client work, is what the fuck should I paint, right? That is going to mean something when I paint it. And this, to me, like I know Ken really latched onto this one. It's because there's so much imagery and symbolism buried in this that, like, the choice of image here has just as much to do with as the skill involved. And I think that you really have to have both to succeed in the gallery world. And often people bring one or the other to the table here. And Joao, I mean, I've always said it, that Joao, to me, of the Vacuum people, he's the one that I could see hanging in a fucking museum, you know, like Aaron certainly too, but like work wise, straight up, like right now, what the subject matter is, to me, this looks like when you go to an art museum.
This could hang next to James Jean and hold its own, no doubt about it.
I agree.
Yeah, I should not be able to afford it.
No, that's a good point. You know, one of the things I love about this is that I'm going to guess it's like a leather shoestring from a boot that's keeping the skulls around his neck. Like just that little bit of that like tobacco orange in there. It's just like such a master like accent. You know what I mean? It like just breaks all that monotone and just gives like a little bit of different color into this world.
I also feel like Joao has sort of mastered like how much darkness to have in your imagery. And I don't mean that literally like dark color. I mean, as far as the subject matter, like there's definitely something dark going on here, but you could also hang this literally anywhere and it's not a fucking Baphomet or whatever.
Well, that's the appeal of St. Sebastian. It makes suffering seem elegant, somewhat beautiful, and somewhat endurable. That's what you kind of hope for. And it kind of substantiates suffering. That's why I actually have a statue of it on my desk in between all my pet remains in their like urns. Jeez. There's a gift from my wife. But sure, that's why I'm drawn to it, to the image, to the saint himself, but to the
hold on real quick. I don't know if give us a 30-second rundown of Saint Sebastian.
Saint Sebastian was a Christian saint. He came to Diocletian and said, "Hey, you suck," and Diocletian tied him to a tree and had him shot full of arrows. What's weird was he survived. And then he went back, found Diocletian again, and said, "Hey, I got some more stuff to tell you." And Diocletian said, "Beat that guy's head in with a club," and then they killed him. But generally, he's just shown as it's just an easy way of showing someone being martyred in a less gruesome way than normal. That's why he and like St. Lucy probably have such popularity in the since today, as opposed to Jesus, who kind of looks like an S&M freaking catalog up on a crucifix.
Looks like Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
My St. Sebastian sang for a little group by the name of Skid Row. I'd like to point out that he painted this while having braces on his teeth, which makes it even harder thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know. That probably is.
Not many adults have that. All right, yeah, this is fantastic, Rob. Great pull. Love it. Let's move over to Mitch Putnam's number 3, a print that popped up on the show as well. It's the DKNG poster set for the National, where they took the highway, they did the diptych, and I think that this is some of the best DKNG work because they didn't overplay their hand. Like, it's the proper amount of like technical and flow and storytelling, and they've been known to go mega detail oriented, and this one, they, instead of going into like what's everything that we could build, they leaned more into design thinking versus detail thinking, and I think that's why this is such a successful double up of prints.
It feels detailed. That's what's amazing about it. It's just a really great balance, and it also would look great to have both of them up on your wall.
Yeah,
I mean, in my opinion, it is pretty detailed, and that's one of the things I like about it. This is the type of thing that makes me like gig posters. Again, everyone on this call knows from doing gig posters, this isn't a fucking Taco Bell budget, right? Like, this is probably not the greatest budget on earth. So to put this amount of thinking and time and design and work into this, you're only doing it because you know that it's going to make a really great poster at the end, and it's going to be great in your portfolio. So to me, like, again, this is the reason I started collecting gig posters, is to have a poster for a band that somebody can come in your house and be completely blown away by without even knowing who the band is. And I think they hit. I mean, it's probably my favorite gig poster of the year.
Imagine showing up to Flatstock 2003 and you put this up on the wall in your booth.
Right. Like, that's around the era that we were being absolutely blown away by things like, oh my God, Emick made Neil Young's face out of islands.
I would love to be Marty McFly at a flat stock and just play the equivalent of Johnny Be Good. Oh, it'd be so sweet.
Yeah, this poster is fantastic. This almost made my list. It's great how it leads your eye. You can really get lost in this poster, actually.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of sort of the French curves of the print, the way that everything bends over and curves around. It feels very natural, and I would say that, you know, an artist of lesser talents would just make one half and flip it over.
Is that a Billy disc? I like that.
It's a Billy disc.
I might have done that too, Billy.
I mean, every single one of us has done
every poster I made for the dead weather.
All right, that is the first half of our countdown. We've made it through the top 9 thus far. Let's get into our second half. Hey, where you going? We've got 9 more posters that we're going to review. So many side stories, so many great conversations, and a real pro tip on how to get noticed and how to use this poster game to launch your advertising or creative career. So much more content coming your way. Only way to hear it, sign up at AID.network. If this is where we part ways, goodbye. We'll see you when we do this all over again next month when the poster countdown returns. But if you're COT, get locked and loaded in. We've got a fantastic another hour of content coming your way, getting you cruising through your workday. Sign up today at AID.network. Circle of Trust members. Let's get going.